So following on from the previous post I did, in terms of just creating content and um, instead of weaponizing the internet and social media, what I've been thinking about just the unintended consequences and the impact of what we create and put out. At some level, every creator or creative has a reason for creating something. It doesn't have to make sense to everybody. It doesn't have to mean stuff for everyone. But sometimes those objectives are achieved, and sometimes they're not. And sometimes other things get achieved instead of the original intent, if I can use that language. And so there's always this thing that we think about, is that there's this thing that I find a lot of creatives stress about or worry about. Okay, car. And the thing that these creatives, even myself, I should actually include myself in that, the thing we worry about is, what if we actually don't achieve what we set out to do? Then there are different scenarios that unfold. Sometimes our content or the things we create or our initiatives don't achieve what we intended or hoped they would. And then at other times, then they just fail and they flop, and then we either delete that or just make it or it just ends up like, sounds of a neighborhood. And then it just ends up one of those things that just go to die a death in a dusty hard drive or backup drive or somewhere in the cloud, But then there are things that we can never anticipate, where, for instance, the impact or the content is impactful to someone in such a meaningful way, it could be life transforming. And the opposite is also true, that we could put something out and it is devastating, or it's a death knell for someone. That's a scary thought. I mean, it's probably one of the reasons why there are concerns about moderating on certain platforms, because certain things are harmful for people and shouldn't be amplified or propagated. So I think the thing I'm just trying to think about is, how do I protect myself from that as a creative? Well, not protect myself, but how can I be responsible in terms of what I create and the impact and the subsequent impact? So one of the things I'm thinking about is perhaps letting other people preview and share a different perspective. Maybe there's a nuance that I've missed, but that in itself is also an act of vulnerability, and we can never better anything if we're never vulnerable about what we're creating. So there's that. The other thing I'm just thinking about is just thinking about the different ways that something can be relevant or not. The sun is harsh. But maybe in some ways just pausing before I hit publish or upload or update, however you publish or send or record for that matter. So maybe there's a step I need to add, or we need to add as creatives or content creators or people who are just posting stuff online, where we just kind of think about potential impact. And the other question, which is the last question that's kind of bouncing around in my head, is, what if I actually do succeed in what I'm trying to accomplish? Well, that's a funny thing. Sometimes we don't even examine the objective itself and what it actually potentially means. And what if we actually do succeed at what we're trying what we're trying to accomplish with the content that we create. What does that actually mean? What if it exploded? Do I have enough infrastructure or support to hold me to account, or enough people to challenge me when I'm creating stuff that is potentially harmful, and that I don't end up getting caught up and that I also don't end up getting caught up in the, how do I put this, in the addiction of that success, or whatever that means. So yeah, that's just what I was thinking about. And as the previous video, this is unedited, it's uncut, because it's just going to take too much effort and time. But just trying to get the thoughts out. Let me know. Cool.